For this lesson, we're going to graph piecewise functions. A piecewise function is written, that first line, f of x, is equal to x plus 5 when x is less than or equal to 0, and negative 2x minus 1 when x is greater than 0. So what we're going to do is graph these two. So where x is less than or equal to 0, it's x plus 5, and where x is greater than 0, it's negative 2x minus 1. I usually like to start with the one with its greater than, and you'll see why after we do the first problem. So we're going to go and graph the line negative 2x minus 1. So if I graphed that and just forgot that this is a piecewise function, go down to the right one, or up to the left one. So this is the line y is equal to negative 2x minus 1. That's the whole entire line, and I don't know how to make a straight line. But our restriction on the domain, it's called, of this part of the function, is x is greater than 0. So I only want to look at this graph where x is greater than 0. X is 0 right here, so x is greater than 0 is over here. So I don't want, it's probably going to delete the whole line, I don't want all that stuff over there. I just want starting at x is equal to 0 and going to the right. However, I also need to make this an open circle because it says x is strictly greater than 0. So the purple part right here goes away. So this is y is equal to negative 2x minus 1, where x is greater than 0. Now I'm going to graph the other one. So now I'm going to go to, now I'm going to go to plus 5 on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the slope is 1, so I go up 1 to the right one, down 1 to the left one. So this is the entire line, y is equal to x plus 5. But I only want it when x is less than or equal to 0. X is less than or equal to 0 over here, starting from this dotted line going to the left. I do include the line or the dot where x is equal to 0, and then everything to the left of it. These points are not needed. So the green function is graphed when x is less than 0, and the purple function is graphed when x is greater than 0. So the domain and range, we're going to do the domain first. So remember, that's all the x values that are graphed. If I took these lines and translated it onto the x-axis, the line wouldn't stop going to the left and it wouldn't stop going to the right. This is a function because this dot is closed and this dot is open. So the green line comes from negative infinity and it keeps going, going, going. It stops here at x is 0, but then it picks up at x is 0 and it keeps going to positive infinity. So the domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. The range, delete all that stuff. The range starts at negative infinity. So it comes down from negative infinity because of this line. It stops here, but there's this green line that's graphed over here. So it really starts back up and goes up to this point. So the range is from negative infinity up to that y value, which is 5. And we do include 5. Next one, we find f of 3. We can either do this with the graph like we did in the last lesson, or we can do it with the functions. So if we're finding f of 3, we use this function when x is less than or equal to 0. We use this function when x is greater than 0. Since 3 is greater than 0, we use the second one. So we substitute 3 in for x, and you get negative 7. So f of 3 is negative 7. The next one, f of negative 4 is less than or equal to 0, so I use the first function, x plus 5, because we're using it when x is less than or equal to 0. Erase all this stuff, messy. So I substitute negative 4 in for x, so I get negative 4 plus 5, which is 1. F of negative 2 is less than or equal to 0, so we use the first one, which is x plus 5, so it's negative 2 plus 5, which is 3.